everyone. Good evening, Bevriotti, and welcome to another of the Bastion podcast. As always, I'm your host, Howard, call sign Wasp, and today with me is James, aka Daka. He's our uniform guru and general know-it-all about anything that's to do with uniforms. And as last time, I've got Rainey, and today we have Blunt with us. Well, hello, James.
G'day.
Hello, Rainey. Hello, Blunt.
Hello.
So, James, you are a uniform guru. Our uniform guru. What made you get into uniforms? What's your backstory? What happened?
Ooh. Geez, it would have been in the throes of high school. Just interested in military history.
Any specific period or?
World War II, of course.
World War II, of course. Yep. Well, I have got quite a few World War II bitsies off you over the years.
As soon as you do a small bit in high school about history, you're like, oh, World War II, that seems very cool.
Lovely uniforms on both sides. Some a little nicer.
Yep.
We do have some as discussed before, some World War II memorabilia here. But yeah, any specific piece of uniform just went, oh shit, that's what I want to.
It wasn't so much the dress up, it was just the learn at that stage.
Okay.
Still in high school, not a lot of money.
Yep.
Looked at what stuff from that period cost.
Yep. Even back then, was it expensive?
It was, yeah.
Yep. So
reproductions just weren't around here.
Well, up until a few. How long ago did reproduction start coming into New Zealand? Like easily to get through Army and Outdoor.
I mean, we only started stocking like 2-3 years ago, and I don't think there's anyone else locally that stocks them. It's all stuff you'd have to buy second hand. People had already brought in.
Yep. Or if ship it in from like Hickey Shop. That's the one overseas.
Yeah, it's the cheap and cheerful brand.
Shit quality though, eh?
It's good for airsoft because you're not worried about thrashing something that's valuable. And I know even some reproduction stuff is pretty costly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, some of it can get expensive.
Yeah. Originally it would have been some thanks to video games. A lot of good World War II shooters out there.
We spoke before the podcast about Medal of Honor. Was that the one?
I think it may have been. It would have been the first Call of Duty, and then I played that on PC, and then eventually got a PlayStation 1 second hand later on, and played the early Medal of Honor.
PlayStation 1. Oh god, that's showing your age.
I wasn't there for the day one. It was jump on.
Showing your age, I was thinking about Wolfenstein.
I just heard all the knees creak just then.
There's nothing. I enjoyed Wolfenstein. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the game. I
loved it.
It's a brilliant game.
I mean, what's the story? Go around shoot Nazis and finally shoot Hitler.
Sort of zombie Nazis possessed horrid.
Oh no, they were just Nazis
In Wolfenstein.
In the original
one,
yeah,
they got all
3D.
Yeah.
Then you had the Return of Castle Wolfenstein, which is the Xbox one.
Yeah.
That's
all I've ever played.
You went to like Egypt and there's ruins and whatnot. And you're fighting Nazis, and then.
Oh, you never played the old pixelated?
No.
Sure.
No.
Oh, it's so old. It was all blocky like pixels.
Yeah.
Oh God, no. God, no.
That was pre-Doom, first Doom.
Oh hell no, never played that version. I've only ever played the Xbox one.
It's very pre-Doom, yeah.
Holy shit.
Doom was amazing compared to
Anyway, yeah.
Sorry.
Went off on a tangent. No, that's all right. That's what this is about.
Much later into my uniform collecting that I actually ended up picking up some World War II stuff.
What was the first bit of World War II gear you got?
Oh, that was a toughie. It probably would have been the World War II German all uniform. That was the first thing they got in the shop.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Again, if you're gonna have a German uniform for World War II, your woolens is your go-to.
Not great for airsoft though, especially New Zealand.
Especially not seeing as most people run their World War II games during the summer,
or even wear their World War II gear in their World War II games. Only a select few.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. again, I've always been of the ilk that if there's a theme game, go in theme.
Yeah.
It makes it, you know.
You shouldn't have to incentivize people with
No,
prizes or whatnot, but
well, you shouldn't have to, but it does help.
it does help.
You know, like the Star Wars games.
I imagine not a lot of people, or at least most people, don't have that kind of stuff sitting around.
Well,
when they
yeah,
want to,
that comes up as an example for Star Wars. Like, obviously, people think Star Wars cosplay, costumes, and go, "Oh, they think of stormtroopers."
Mm.
Very expensive to get a fit. And yeah, of course they are. But you wouldn't want to run them as airsoft either. The thing would shatter.
Or if you make it out of foam like I do, BBs just go straight through it and get you anyway.
You've got all the rebels.
Yeah,
They're wearing just stuff that was found out of surplus stores.
yeah.
Easily put together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and for all of we had Chris made his Tusken Raider.
Oh yeah, that was great.
He did. So yeah, but like you say, the Rebels surplus.
Bobby did the mechanic.
The mechanic. That's where I got the.
Yeah.
Literally, that's where they got the stuff,
The stuff
the
from.
costumes for the original films. It's from surplus stores. It's very easy to recognise all the pouches they're wearing.
I did see in the later Star Warsies though they just went with like basic AKs and just put.
Oh, the from Andor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a weird mishmash of an AK and an MP40.
40. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It was quite cool.
I did. Well, I've got an AK and an MP40 over there. I could.
Probably not many people willing to make that mix yourself though.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I've
It's
got.
not an iconic gun from there.
I know, but it is still something that I could for an Endor cosplay put together. So
Yeah.
did you guys do stuff for films as well? Because you're
Yes.
Army and Outdoor, right?
Yes. Geez, we've been feeding the film industry since we first opened in early 2000s.
Yeah.
But probably the major gigs is we supplied all the Avatar films.
The Blue Creatures.
Yes, those ones.
There we go.
Yep, no, they picked up 400 pairs of Austrian combat boots from us. Yeah. The bizarre thing is, film set in the far future in outer space, and they're wearing 1970s issues combat boots. They can't go wrong with the Austrian leathers. They look like the British ones.
Yes.
The
Yep. Yep.
And it's just a stock standard look for a combat.
Yeah.
A good classic never goes out of style.
Exactly.
When you think of military boots, that's what pops into your head.
Yeah.
That-
And they're cheap and cheerful at the time, but we had no problems finding those boots. They're getting a bit slimmer now, and thanks to other military surplus businesses, they've become far more popular that they're sort of out of our price range to even wholesale now.
Well, you have competition here.
Not locally, but we do ship internationally. So.
Oh, of course, of course.
No.
You were saying before you do a lot of with the States,
Yes,
but you buy a lot in from America.
we do.
So it
Funny
seems,
enough, they buy a lot back.
so you buy it here, sort it, organise it, size it.
Yeah,
Grade it.
It originally was we would find suppliers in the States, pick out from their catalogue stuff that would be interested in, bring it in, and then we'd sort and size it here. But we found an easier solution was actually much cheaper, was just getting bales of stock in that it's military themed. Some of it could be commercial, but get it much cheaper because it's unsorted. Their suppliers don't have to worry about that. That's our job, and you get a lot of just cool one-off rarer pieces that
Oh,
you wouldn't find.
What's the rarest piece you found?
Ooh.
Like something that you, when you picked it up, you went, "Oh my god, this is a."
There's been a few things that I hadn't recognised because I just didn't even know they existed.
Yeah.
Like it had a pair of British jungle combat trousers from World War II made under American contract. So like in the HBT fabric that the US Army used, but in a British cut.
Oh, so you would have looked at that and gone, "Huh?" So how do you then go and research what it is, or do a Google image search? How did you find out what that was?
Usually it's identified like mark stamps, whatnot.
Of course,
Yep.
read the label.
Sometimes in the label though, World War II stuff disappears. And obviously you have to make sure that you're not dealing with reproduction when it comes to World War II stuff, because that does get mixed
Yeah.
and people assume that, oh, this is a very good piece, it should be original. It's like, no, it's a reproduction.
You can tell quite easily.
If the tags are there, that's easy enough. Sometimes when it's not, there are some very good reproductions that they're hard to tell, but I haven't run into that issue yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, those trousers, for instance, they're worth like $1,200
For a pair of pants.
for a pair of pants.
For a pair of old.
For an old, they're old as well. They're still worth that.
For a pair of old, holy, worn pants.
But again, that's $1,200 on the international market.
Yep.
If you're selling them locally, New Zealand really doesn't have that much demand for it, so you wouldn't get nearly as much. So that's why we had our one-off collectibles page on the website that we introduced.
Yep.
Which has sort of died off slightly.
So
We'll get back into that.
you've no longer got a physical store here in Auckland,
No, we've lost that.
but you do have one still down in Christchurch.
In Christchurch, yep. It is our dispatch warehouse with a store attachment. It's not a big store, but it's because we're based in an industrial area.
Yeah.
But no, most of our sales are online. Now.
Online.
Yeah.
Online.
And most of them go out of country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Vast majority of them are Australians. But even the US market does match New Zealand sales. So,
So I really didn't think that they'd, because you'd imagine that they'd buy it all there because it's there.
it depends on the item. We get in a lot of European surplus, which is desirable there, especially stuff like the Swiss and East German stuff. It's cheap and cheerful, but still popular.
Yep.
But there are other surplus stores out there that have made them extremely more popular than they used to be, which has also helped us out.
Yeah.
Because when they run out, we still have them.
You still got them.
Sometimes cheaper than them.
Did you get people emailing you saying, "Hey, do you have a?"
Constantly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's stuff that like I've never seen on the surplus market in my life. Good luck.
Wow. Many sort of like, because there's the memorabilia guy down in Henderson.
Oh, he's gone now.
Is he? Oh, is he?
He's back up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened to him?
I think he got sick, and then he just decided to retire.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was an attempt that apparently he tried to pass on to his son, but so that just no interest.
No interest in it. That's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Because they had some really rare and odd.
Yeah. A lot of people gave him flat for having the German stuff, but he had everything else as well.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't.
balance it out.
Yeah.
You can't just focus on that's the bad stuff.
Yeah. he had every. I remember we used to do the military show up in Kumiu. We had when we first started doing the airsoft, doing a zombie shoot up there. And he always had a stall up there, and all his stuff was always beautifully presented. It was very nice.
No, I miss when we used to have a stall there as well. It was just nice to get out.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's a shame they stopped doing it. Oh well. Maybe with a bit more time and distance between Christchurch. I mean, even though it was 6 years ago. But yeah. So you must have a lot of uniforms.
Yeah. It was more of a originally start working at Army Surplus Store, end up buying stuff that just, this fits me, this looks cool.
Well, you're a big fella, finding stuff that
That
fits.
is a good limitation to my collection, buying stuff that only fits me.
I mean,
6'4".
So yeah, you're not exactly a little fella.
So that was pick stuff up and then eventually like, can I build a kit off this?
Yeah.
Can I make it accurate to how it would have been worn? You get a lot of uniforms like, yes, there's bits and pieces that are very easy to find, but then you get some very like harder to find pieces on the kit. You're like, I shouldn't even bother with this. Like, can it be achievable?
Yeah.
I've got probably 70 uniforms in different states. About 20 of those are actually complete.
So, rigs, boots, hats.
Well, the end goal for each kit is to have the full uniform, trousers, shirt, hat, or helmet, vest, boots, and then maybe some odds and sods, bits and pieces, depending on how invested into the kit, like for the Bundeswehr, West German, German Army now. Still thinking back to historical when I was still doing the West German moleskin kit. that I will get stuff like the mess kits and the bed rolls and the sleeping bags because they're still pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
They do have them come through the shop.
And then you display them, or
The intent is to use them entirely for airsoft. Everyone would love to have their own private museum, but it's unattainable until you reach retirement.
that is something. That is one of the cons of having a collection is where to put the bloody stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we are in a room, like, it's not a bad size room. And
It looks a lot smaller because it's so filled with stuff.
yeah,
Unless this should be like a living room.
yes, yeah, no, it's a normal size living room, but it's, yeah, there's a couple of hundred uniforms, a few hundred
Something
guns.
else is living in here.
Yeah. Hell, but again, I can't thank you and Army and Outdoor enough for supplying most of this stuff.
Happy to.
Ah,
Plenty more that going on.
oh, look, we will get more, definitely.
Absolutely.
But no, I've ended up having a downscale. I've started filtering out kits that I have decided, like, yeah, no, this isn't going to be finished. Or it just, like, I'm really not that invested in it. I haven't worn it in several years.
So do you match guns with your kits as well? Always?
I often buy the kit before I get the gun. That's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
It was when I started my West German border guard kits.
Okay, yeah.
Which I managed to find a Parker in my size, very hard to find. This was back when we had the Hamilton branch.
Yeah.
Brought in by just a random guy off the street. He says, "Oh, I'm looking to sell this with another kit." Do me a deal. Sweet as, got it. Fantastic coat. It's classic, like the West German olive drab Parker, the fleece liner,
Yeah.
that style, but with splinter camo.
Oh, oh.
But it's the West German border guard splinter camo, which is like a swamp time. It's the reddish brown
Yep.
swamp camo.
Yep.
Yeah, that. Beautiful, and it still had its original police insignia, which had typically been removed when they decommissioned the item. So I was like, oh, this is superb. So I thought, I've got to do a kit.
Yep.
Eventually found a helmet. That was kind of hard. A lot of people think, oh, West German border guard, they still use the original Stahlhelm unit design up until the late 1970s. That was more of a show of force against East Germany.
Yep. Yep.
But it just became iconic for them. But a lot of people see that helmet, go, "Oh, World War II helmet, tell you." It's like, it's not actually.
So,
But yeah, trying to find a rifle to match that,
yeah.
pretty much impossible until I came across the one that I sold you. That I realized I couldn't actually get to be accurate enough
Mm-hmm.
because I sold Howard here the STG-58,
Yep.
which is the Austrian model of the FAL.
Yep.
But the difference between that and the service rifle of the Belt Border Guard, which they designated the G1, was that the stock was wood.
Yep.
Oh.
Couldn't get that. Used to be able to, but after the gun buybacks, the parts just disappeared.
So you could have gotten a real steel and then put it on.
Yep. But left too late, too hard to find the gun originally, and I just said, oh, this is not going to finish. I'm never going to finish the kit.
Yeah.
So I sold off all the pieces in the helmet, kept the Parker though, because it's very stylish.
Anything in Splinter is beautiful. I must admit, Splinter's one of my favourite camos.
But and then I realised this Parker, I wouldn't even wear it from the airsoft game because it's way too hot and heavy.
Yeah, even in the middle of winter, especially in Auckland, middle of winter, like OPAF, like at night, be perfect. But yeah,
That's just one of the many examples of kits that I've started and realised this is not going to be finished.
you're for your German stuff. You're a Flecky and for your World War II, your P-Dot,
I
eh?
like my flick tone for sure, yeah.
The original flick tone, yeah.
And the P-Dot is just the earlier version of that as far as I'm concerned. So it was a no-brainer to do that for a World War II outfit,
Oh,
for sure.
huge sucker for Alpha, which was originally a World War II camo.
I didn't know that it was.
Yeah. Levenmeister, I think it might have been called.
Yep.
Yeah, it was originally developed in the last year of the war, so very limited service. Ended up being just not done because it's just more costly ventures for the German army than didn't have any money at that stage.
At the time, that money was when everything was running
and
out.
then eventually picked it for trials by the post-war German army, who decided against it because it was still associated with World War II Germany, and then Switzerland ended up adopting it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they ran that until the early 90s.
I only knew it as Swiss.
Yeah, I thought it was Swiss.
I did originally, but when I was, because I have that jacket and I was just looking at
Yeah, it's very
stuff for, like,
slight
pants or whatever.
variations in the design, and the colour is a lot more vibrant than the original, but it's definitely based on it. But yeah, no, that alpenflage has been used in many conflicts around the world, outside of, obviously, the Swiss Army. We don't do any conflicts.
And funnily enough, works quite well in our bush.
It does, yeah.
especially when we play up north. That
Up at Fanga, right?
Yeah, no, alpenflage,
Yeah,
fantastic.
that field,
It's
it
a lot
works
of, like, just wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the fall and winter.
Yep.
Works
Yeah.
really well.
Those autumn
Russ-
colours.
Yeah.
Russ wears
Fine if you don't move.
camouflage. It's like anything.
I actually think someone made a ghillie suit out of the alpenflage, though.
Ooh.
We sell the shirts for like $15 a pop. Like, that's plenty of material. We could do something.
Oh.
Yeah, just put it out there. For anyone listening.
Buy some alpenflage.
Just jot that down.
I was going to say, it might have to be your next ghillie project.
Yeah. But
So-
no, that's alpenflage, very cheap and cheerful kit used by a lot of militaries.
Yep.
Very easy to complete a set. I originally got it to run a controversial kit of the Kosovo Liberation Army.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But that was during a period where a YouTuber known as Oxide brought a Serbian police kit into the fold, popularity, which is like a blue tiger stripe.
Yeah.
Their main opposition at the time they introduced that was the Kosovo Liberation Army, which was wearing Swiss surplus alpenflage.
You know a lot about uniforms from all over the world.
Yes. More the uniforms, less the actual military history.
Yep. So if somebody came, emailed you and said, "Hey, I'm looking at doing a 1980s Austrian kit. What would I need?"
Well, it's all a draft.
Boring.
No, I have big respect for the Austrian military
Yeah.
for running Oladrab for so long.
How long have they been running Austrian?
Well, they've only just dropped in the past few years, but they
That's
ran it.
ballsy.
Well, they originally had the Austrian PDOT,
Oh, okay.
which was used in the 1950s and 60s. They dropped that in the early 70s to go back to Oladrab to sort of, it was more of a show of their neutrality.
Yep.
Not like
Yeah.
an armed force, the
Yeah.
defense force. Yeah. And yeah, they ran that for 50 years.
What are they running now?
I can't remember the designation actually. It's like a blue, brown, and red camo designed for like their home theatre, like autumn colours and whatnot. Which, but it works pretty well. Good for like undergrowth.
Mhm.
Yeah, but again, designation escapes me. It's kind of unattainable at the moment.
Yeah.
so-
Well, it's in use, so-
yeah, exactly.
It's when it becomes
It
surplus,
does
then you'll
filter
know.
out to the market.
Yeah.
But how it gets there is very.
By dubious means. So, what's the best camo for New Zealand? Do you reckon?
Oh, depends on the region. If you're looking at woodland, I'd just say GPM.
Yeah.
It's the whole
NZ?
reason why we adopted in the first place.
NZ Deeps or
NZ Deeps, yeah.
Yep.
It's got a nice tropical coloration that works well for
Yep.
New Zealand bush. Not that there's anything wrong with the British one. British probably would
a little
work
too
better.
brown?
Would work better in the winter months.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
I mean, the New Zealand DPM was originally the British DPM until mid '80s. We introduced our own colourway, which is basically blue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a bluish green. It's very odd, and then they phased that in the late '80s to become a more tropical pattern.
Hmm.
Being the iconic one.
Still easy to get hold of. The
80 stuff kind of hard to find. We fortunately found a stockpile thanks to an old cadet unit.
Ooh.
It's still out in storage. That won't last. Even the stuff from
Be
the
small too for cadets, yeah.
we had a few big sizes. Obviously, you got officer cadets, which were just adults, but most of them were small sizes.
Our sizes, or
No, not ours.
We did have a couple of hundred waist.
not our sizes?
I
Then
thought you.
I'm 102.
Never mind.
You squeeze
And then
it.
the winterweight trousers as well, which were like
Oh.
just like a line area. So.
Just no. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it would really be suitable. But no, even the stuff in the late 80s that said through Timor into like late 2000s, that's getting harder to find. DPM is just a popular pattern.
Tis.
Yeah.
Tis.
For
It's
good
fashionable, it works well,
Well,
it's functional.
Yep. And it's like when you that woodlandy, like woodland deeps, New Zealand deeps, people see it and they immediately think army.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, it's they
For
don't
sure.
think of where it's from, but they think, oh, that's army.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that's kind of the reason why I stopped wearing camouflage in public.
Because people thought you were in the army.
Yeah, you know, the bros.
Oh.
Yeah.
Stolen valor.
Oh, no. Just like, oh, you're in the army, cuz. No. You know, this is people just wear this for fashion. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not even wearing a full camouflage uniform. Just throw it out.
Yeah, I'm wearing a pink t-shirt. Come on.
Although there was an instance when I was in university that I was wearing a lot of military still, and I wore a flipped-out parka with rankings so there because I found them while I was working in the shop. And I thought, wow, that really looks cool, pairs together. I had an old guy come up to me and start speaking to me in German. Assuming that I had served. I was like, no, this is embarrassing. I don't want to go through this again.
Oh, no. Yeah. Anything with insignias on is always
I
yeah.
even had my own custom name patch put on for airsoft.
Oh.
I thought, I got the jacket, let's put it on there as well.
Yeah, no, see, I'm all for patches. Wear your airsoft patches. You know, I've got one or two airsofty patches. Wear your club patches. Wear them with pride. But yeah, when it comes to like the proper insignias and all that sort of gumph, my German stuff's a little different. I haven't got like proper insignias,
Yeah.
but I have.
Keep it to the field, not the street.
Yeah, but that's only ever worn for airsoft.
Yeah.
Actually, that is probably the only uniform I own that is only worn for airsoft. I wear everything else. I've been
So
in.
you should.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
yeah. There is some.
Do you wear the pilot overalls for cleaning?
No, I actually,
Okay,
I actually just wear those for being.
Oh, okay.
I quite like them. I find them quite.
Do you do the classic top-down tyrant lace?
No. See, I've got no hips, so whatever I put on falls straight on. I'm a wedge. I'm very wide at the top and very narrow at the bottom.
So like group
So,
from the-
flight suits. Did you call me fucking Gru again?
Yeah. No, Groot.
Oh,
Groot.
Gru.
Yeah.
Cheeky little sausage.
Oh, I think he's a great fella.
I
What a
used.
family man.
I've got a black coat and I
Oh,
put
I
a.
thought you were gonna say yellow person.
No, I was thinking one of those. And but I've got a black coat and I put my scarf on one day. Again, this
Lean
is.
forward.
and he called me Gru as I was leaving, and it didn't dawn on me because I hadn't seen the movie at the time.
Oh.
He was only young.
Oh, okay.
So you,
So you knew I was going places with that comment. Oh, yeah.
got me off my train of thought. I was going somewhere. What else? What else do we need to talk about? So we've done. Now you've just got the giggles
We're
here.
talking about deep. So was effective in New Zealand?
What was effective? Marpat.
Marpet does work.
Yep.
Yes. It's camo's good. Uniforms, they're a bit heavy. I don't find they work that comfortably in New Zealand. They do seem more like a northern hemisphere, colder temperature, bit of kit to wear. But they have improved it since. I mean, they've been using Marpet for 20 years now. And obviously the cuts are different now.
Yeah.
The stuff that we get, it's the older stuff.
For now.
For now.
For now.
But yeah, that actually springs to mind me, kind of militaries these days, even the surplusing old equipment like we had with the MCU, they end up destroying it rather than selling it.
What's
Oh.
that?
They don't want to get it out of the public market. There's materials that go, oh, these are IR treated, we don't want this getting in the wrong hands, they're military grade. So even if they're phased out, they don't want people misusing them. There was a well-known case with Germany where after the 2014 invasion of Crimea, a lot of the Ukrainian factions were using flat-time camouflage uniforms, still with the German flags on.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah. Yeah.
So they fell out of
I can
favour.
see how that would be an issue.
Yeah, German government made an announcement they were discontinuing the sale of procurement of any surplus uniforms, and so they were going to destroy them from there on in.
That sucks.
Yeah,
That
unfortunately, it's had a sort of reversal now that British is a big part of this. British Army, well, government donating a lot of NTP uniforms to Ukraine. You see entire formations made up of soldiers wearing surplus NTP uniforms, plate carriers, helmets. Even still, if the insignia are attached, you can see patches on shirts that
I was
say
just going
Royal
to say,
Air Force.
did they take all that stuff off? But obviously not.
So the
They don't
NTP
bother.
uniforms have like a Velcro panel
Oh yeah,
that they typically sew the insignia onto.
that seems like a practical way to go.
Yeah.
Right?
But quite often when you've got the shoulder flash, that'll be sewn above
Above
the
it.
panel and will remain there. So
Yeah.
you've even got like Roma and Commando patches that are still on separate shirts. And they're in photos on like media and whatnot. So it's like, oh, okay, well,
When you see stuff on the telly and in the media like that, you go, ooh, ooh.
yeah. Sell that.
I'd get my hands on
Or
one of
even
those.
points where when it came back to the film, we sold them that. That's where that went.
Ah, because you did one recently that you're looking at selling. You guys are looking at
Yeah.
selling the bits for.
There's a. Okay, so I was going to go on a limb and say what it is. We didn't sign an NDA,
Yeah.
so it's fine. We probably should have, but that's on them. The Sweet Tooth.
Yep.
Show that was recently on Netflix. I mean, it's slated for a third season. I can't remember if that's out already or it's still yet to come. But we supplied them military uniforms and equipment that was both surplus and brand new commercial stuff that we imported for them for the entire production. And we ended up buying back anything that was military surplus that they thought, oh, we make some money back on these. These are the first people to go to because it's clearly what they want to buy.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting all these uniforms that was used in the production. All the insignia had been removed because, of course,
Yeah.
copyright and whatnot. It's fair enough on them. But it was a very weird mix of uniforms. They even came to me asking what we should use as a camouflage, as a military uniform. And we were going through the assorted stock in the store, and I pulled out a piece and say, well, this was a tropical multicam. I thought this is a fairly modern piece. You'd probably see it still in service with the future military or in, I don't know, mercenaries, whatever.
Yeah.
In the near future, in this setting of Sweet Tooth, which is the near future, sort of I wouldn't say apocalyptic, but, world sort of started to crumble due to plague. And they've got these factions that need their own unique looks. If you want something that's modern, we've got the Stropper Multicam here. We can get it to you in large quantities, which they did. They picked that out. I can't remember the actor. I know he's in Game of Thrones, but he was one of the lead characters in Sweet Tooth. He had a custom-made set for him because he was such a big fella. So they ended up buying a whole bunch of 5XL shirts and just tailoring, making a new one for him off those.
Wow.
But the weird thing was they decided to go with a whole bunch of old webbing. So you had these,
Over new modern.
yeah,
uniforms.
exactly. They were running the Woodland load-bearing vest from the 90s and Alice equivalent.
Oh, okay.
so very hodgepodge. I was quite confused by that, but I was like, well, that's what your producers want. We'll supply it.
Yeah. So they were dressed up sort of like they would be dressed out of a surplus store.
I mean, you wouldn't find Tropical Multi in a surplus store. We had to special order that in for them.
Just
But I feel like they may have blown their budget
on.
on the uniforms and realized, oh shit, let's try and fix this up and get some decent looking equipment, and that's what they ended up with. But yeah, if you see Sweet Tooth, is
What would be the modern sort of rigs that go with that? Then?
plate carriers.
Plate carriers
I
of
mean, the
Molly.
first go too, but I guess they had 40 guys they had to kit out. That would just been too much more on the budget. Don't know what their budget was. It's a good looking show. Definitely had good props. So
Not seen it.
It
Not
must
seen it.
be hard, like,
it's based on a graphic novel series. It's definitely worth watching though.
it must be difficult when you actually, like, learn what's right and wrong in, like,
Oh,
uniform
it's
stuff.
hard. It's
And
hard.
then you
Oh,
watch-
yeah, it took me a long time to get over the people who wanted to remove the German flag from Fliptown shirts. It was sacrilege. How dare you defile this uniform? But then I realised, like, no, this isn't my kit. This is theirs. They've bought it. It's not that valuable. Do what you want with it. And it even got to the point where I was doing the same thing.
We know a few people who got really into their gear and have to have the right boots with the right shirts and stuff.
I always wear the correct footwear.
You wear Crocs, dude. You wear fucking Crocs.
Enclosed footwear. Perfect.
Yeah.
Dude, Crocs.
Does that
Again,
even really count as
No,
enclosed?
it does not.
I don't think it even counts as footwear, dude. Now, which military uses Crocs? None of them. Australians.
They would, but the rubber would melt.
I mean,
everywhere
maybe
they
in
go.
the showers. You gotta stop getting verrucas in the shared showers.
Well, what would you say is the most difficult piece of camo to buy?
Difficult piece of camo. Oh.
Like, like
There's a lot of trial pieces out there, but for stuff that was actually issued and serviced.
yeah.
Depends on the period and like when you would say it was hard to acquire.
Yeah.
Obviously, surplus is a fickle thing that back in the day, there's sort of been dime a dozen. Rhodesian camo comes to mind. Obviously, full of Rhodesia, came in Zimbabwe, all their equipment surplused out. Anyone that left the country, took their kit with, it was all over the world, easy to find. You'd find it at charity shops.
So what was the Rhodesian?
Rhodesian brushstroke.
What does that look like?
It's kind of like a really fat lizard pattern in green, brown, and yellow.
Yep. Oh, okay. Yep.
Didn't really have a huge sense of desirability until the past 10 years, where it became fashionable, then collectible, and then people started reproducing it in like modern tactical cuts, just for a bit of nostalgia, just due to being a bit of racist. A lot of people just immediately see Rhodesia and like, oh, you're wearing that because you like Rhodesia? Like, no, it's a cool camo.
It's a cool
But then
camo.
there are other people that are just like, oh, I love Rhodesia.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people on both sides of every fence.
But no, rare camo though. Going back to that, definitely anything World War II.
Yeah.
Let's go to.
Yeah.
Even post World War II, a lot of those camos were recycled. I know the French Foreign Legion during the 50s ended up reusing a lot of German uniforms
Mm-hmm.
for use in like Indochina and whatnot, which is weird because Indochina hot, horrible climate. Why would you wear this winter weight stuff? But
Woolen uniforms.
not wool,
Oh,
but like the canvas weight, like the
okay.
peacock.
Still heavy.
Still heavy, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know,
Can't
French
be-
seems
can't
to
be
be
good
more
for the
fashion than
tropics.
function,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they did make it look good.
Again, the German uniforms as a whole looked very pretty. They do look nice. I must admit that I
Say
do
that,
like
though,
the
there
peanut.
were a lot of ex-German soldiers that joined the Foreign Legion. So
Right,
you
yeah.
take that as you are.
Yep. No questions asked, eh?
No.
Fresh start.
Yeah.
Fresh start.
New name.
You have to learn
New
French,
French
though, eh?
name. Oh no, there's plenty of French people that can speak German. Especially after all the war.
I would have. Didn't half of them go to bloody Argentina and stuff?
And Spain, yes.
Allegedly.
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 That's how you get a lot of white folk coming out of Argentina with German surnames. But yeah, no. In terms of something modern, rare camouflage, there's so much out there now. Like, I know there's a lot of Middle Eastern countries that all have 10 different camouflages all in service with different departments. Saudi Arabia, for instance, they have a lot of money, so they blow a lot in the military.
Yep.
They can't pick a camo, so they sort of let their commanders pick what they want to run for their unit.
So each unit looks.
So they'll have like a unit that's defending like government buildings, a unit for defending like power and utilities, border guard, army, national guard, like the royal army to defend the palaces and whatnot. They'll each have their own unique patterns. Some are vastly different from each other.
Wow.
What's the weirdest looking pattern you've seen? Like camo, the weirdest looking.
Oh, I mean, I can't remember what it was. It was may have been Zimbabwe. It was a like a ranger uniform for their parks. So they look military because obviously they'll carry rifles to counter poachers and whatnot. But their camo is like paw prints and bear heads.
Oh,
cool. It's a very cool big camo.
That's so unique. That's cool.
I know there's even a couple of countries that I think for their like cadet units in Africa would have literally the camo pattern, but just made of the continent of Africa as an image all across their pattern.
Okay.
But there's a lot of very weird commercial camos out there as well. You've got Miami Tiger Stripe.
Miami Tiger Stripe.
Miami Tiger Stripe, which is Tiger Stripe pattern, but with like fluorescent blue and green and black. It's one of those Gucci kits.
Oh yeah, it's not like a military one. It's
no. Yeah, are you familiar with Novrich's Tiger Stripe?
Novrich's Tiger Stripe.
He brought in his own uniform as a Tiger Stripe that was more.
Is that the one that looks sort of lizardy?
Yes.
Yes.
Think that, but saturation just ramped up.
Ramped up. Yes.
Yeah. And then you got the Ahego camouflage.
Ah, yeah.
So, Japanese porn comics.
Oh, jeez.
They have these well-known faces of women when they're orgasming.
Oh, okay.
That's called Ahega. Someone made an entire camouflage print out of that.
I'm surprised.
And made it into a uniform. So you can actually go and buy a uniform in that camo.
There's always one.
Yeah.
That's
Clearly more than one.
What's the, I can't remember his actual name. Gun Jesus.
Oh yes.
Forgotten Weapons.
But yeah, Forgotten Weapon. What's his name? Ian McKellen.
Yes. He had a camouflage made up similarly of his face.
Oh.
Yes. Going like this. With his hands up on his cheeks. And that was sold through Valstroka, the Finnish military company. They produced those uniforms for him on license.
Wow.
That's actually awesome.
Yeah.
It was actually a very good looking effective camouflage. It wasn't until you got up close you go, haha.
Oh.
This is an odd camo, this tablecloth, this red.
Oh no, you bring out the red in the camouflage.
Yeah, I don't like
That's
it at
one of the
all.
guilty pleasures.
Red in your
Terrible.
camouflage.
Red urban camouflage.
Why is it a guilty pleasure?
Well, this is nostalgia's sake, and it's big at the moment, and it's ramping up. Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, okay.
The Russian airborne troops that invaded the US mainland in the game
Yeah.
wear red urban camouflage.
Oh.
Yes. It's not the exact scale, but it's the same colours. It's slightly smaller. There is a company that is looking to make the Gorka in that camouflage as sort of a nostalgia collection. They've recently brought out a Red Dawn camouflage Gorka.
From the
Wolverine.
80s or the more modern Red Dawn?
The 80s Red Dawn. Yes.
Because they remade that movie and it's not very good.
Oh, okay, that's generally the case. But they made a Gorka in that. It's very expensive, but I think it's worthwhile if you're doing it for a very cool nostalgia kit.
So you guys sell proper gear with like buying stuff from Wish. what what would be the pros and cons for that for somebody who deals in camos?
Well, when it comes to the surplus, you think it's military grade. It's been used, it's been trialed. This is what they picked to run their armed forces.
Yeah.
It seems like the sensible choice.
Yeah.
In fact, there's some surplus out there, especially the British, for instance, that is the same price, if not cheaper, than buying something off Temu.
And you can get it, especially if you can buy it online, because again, you guys are online at
ArmyAndOutdoors.co.nz or .com.au or .com, depending on which region you're in.
No, there we go.
We do have a drop-down selection, though.
And that shameless plug brings us to the end of part 1. This podcast was brought to you in part by G8 Buys and by our product partners at Army and Outdoor and ASGC. Thank you guys for your continued support. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to the first part. There is another 45 minutes or so left to go through, so that'll be up next week. As always, like and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and all of the socials. And as always, we'll shoot you laters.